Hey everybody, welcome back to another 10-minute Marvel video. First of what I expect to be 2 videos today. I'm Petter. The second video, which I'll have to wait for, is Marvel is doing this crazy reveal event. We'll be talking about that later. Today, though, this video, we're going to be talking about, well, everything that happened in the last 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. Because we have episodes 5 and 6 that have come out, and there's a fair amount to talk about, though a little bit less than I might have guessed. So let's first do some non-spoiler thoughts. I'm going to split them into 2. It really does split into 2. I'm going to give non-spoiler thoughts for episode 5, then non-spoiler thoughts for episode 6, then do spoilers. So, episode 5 actually is kind of this bottle episode. I made the comment how I thought that episode 4 had elements of that. This one is truly a bottle episode. Now, I'm not going to say it's truly a bottle episode. Bottle episode, if you're not familiar with the term, is basically an episode that can stand fully by itself. It doesn't really affect the main plot, anything like that. This one does, slightly. And it's very much oh so slightly. And it's really well done. It's great character interactions between Matt Murdock and other characters in it. We get to kind of see interplay of different groups, but it's contained in a nice, tight location, and just, for me, it works really well, and it makes it for an enjoyable episode. And again, it feels more like television. I don't know if this one was part of the original stuff or not, but it works. And actually, probably not part of the original stuff, knowing like the little bit of loose tie-in that you get. But it stands out just as like good television. And you do get some action, you get good plot, not a ton of character development, but again, it's a contained episode. And for a contained episode, it worked. Episode 6, on the other hand, definitely drives the plot forward a whole lot more for both Fisk and Matt. And it does it in a solid way. I was surprised by a few elements of it in a good way, that they brought back in a storyline that I thought maybe would have, well, gone to a different character. It still may go to a different character, so I don't have much faith that it won't. But brought in some of the expected villains and kind of what I feel like is kicking off this second arc. It is interesting to me that they put these two together, but I think it's probably because episode 5 is such a standalone episode. They're worried, maybe rightfully so, maybe not, about how people react to something that is so simply focused. That's probably the best way to put it. And that people might not like it for that reason. So I think episode 6 is meant to be like, hey, we're really driving home a whole lot more plot. And because of that, now let's put these two together. So the standalone, and then really kick off and dive into plot, into villainous natures of certain characters, and answering some of those questions. They're starting to answer some of those questions that we sorry, I had to write something real quick. Drop in some of those questions that we were or answers that we were looking for some of the questions that they've introduced before. Sorry, I have the video up of the other for the other video, and I'm just waiting for that video to be done so I can record that. But let's dive into spoiler talk here, because first off, Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. You have been warned. Spoilers. Okay, we're into spoilers now. No Punisher, though Punisher's name was dropped. Frank Castle's name was dropped as Heather Glenn is looking for people behind a mask, vigilantes, and vigilanteism for her next book. I thought that was kind of a nice touch. You can keep that going. But now I think we're going to potentially end the season with Punisher. End the season with Punisher, kick off the next season. I can't imagine they got John Barenthal in and recording for only one episode, one scene of one episode. So it's obviously going to come back around, but we've jumped in heavily on Muse at this point. And maybe that's where we're going to see a little bit more tie-in with Punisher, is maybe Punisher gets brought in by Daredevil to help take out Muse. But let's rewind to episode 5, where the big plot element of episode 5 is the gangs. The gangs are going to rob a bank to get a diamond, and that diamond is going to be worth enough to pay off the debt for assassinating another gang's 2 gang members. This was orchestrated previously by Vanessa after, as she sees it, Fisk is kind of losing control of the docks of the Red Hook area. So that is interesting. Like, that's the part that ties into it. But we also get Yusuf Khan in this episode. Yusuf Khan, may not be familiar with him if you haven't watched all the Disney Plus shows or the Marvels, but he is Kamala Khan's dad. A wonderful character. I love that actor, and his work is just so entertaining and just fun to watch. Like, he is one of those actors who is just a fun actor to watch on screen. And really, Matt is looking for ways to continue to grow his firm. They have an aggressive growth plan, but because of the pro bono work they do, because of some of the smaller cases or just one-off, like, little things that they do, it's hard for the bank, and it sounds like multiple banks, to justify giving Matt more money. Beyond that, though, like I said, this only has so much that it really sets up. It introduces us to a detective who then plays into the Muse case, but it's fairly light. And so, with that said, though, I still enjoyed it. I think it's because of the character interactions between the head bank robber and the detective, the detective who's kind of doing the hostage negotiation. Excuse me. And then between Matt and Yusuf is just, like, there's just a lot of good interactions. And we get some action, too. Like, this is not an episode devoid of action. We get an outdoor hallway fight of sorts. It's a pretty brief, but still brutal fight that Matt has against one of the bank robbers who, in the confusion, has made it look like they're a police officer. But episode 6 is, I think, where we really start to get those interesting elements. And I love the parallel between Fisk and Matt. Both of them have tried to lead another life, and with varying levels of success. Like, even when Matt is being a lawyer, and like with the White Tiger case, Hector Ayala's case, he fought the police officers who came to intimidate or take care of a witness who supposedly didn't exist. Then, on the flip side of it, you have Fisk, who's been hinted at, bloody knuckles, stuff like that. And then in episode 4, really kind of got an idea where this was coming from, with Adam locked away. And first off, let's get Matt to the point where he's beating up people. Let's get Fisk to the point where he's beating up people. Fisk is just pissed off at the bureaucracy, the wearing of the suit, and schmoozing people, and he's just not good at it, and he is fed up with it, which I love, because that should be the hardest part of this transition for him. Not the idea of power, but now that how he maintains power is he can't throw around his weight like he used to. And he now throws it around his weight against Adam. And then on the flip side, with Matt / Daredevil, we have Hector Ayala's niece come to him as Matt Murdock and basically be like, what can you do? Like, there's all these people going missing. My uncle was looking into this. What can you do to help me? And this is also when they figure out that Muse is painting with people's blood, and he's killed at least 60 people. The police do. So, of course, what Hector was looking into, and Muse, that's the same thing. So she goes to investigate on her own, obviously runs afoul of Muse, because why wouldn't she? And now we have this situation where you have Matt putting back on the Daredevil costume. But it's just, it's this wonderful parallel, because then Matt putting back on the Daredevil costume goes to fight Muse. Of course, Muse is going to get away because Matt is going to make the right decision as Daredevil to save the niece, to save Hector Ayala's niece, the future White Tiger. And so I really enjoy that element to it as well. But then, honestly, the biggest thing to come out of this is Fisk is taking power in some ways, in a way that he knows. And he's doing that by empowering the shady, corrupt police officers to be his anti-vigilante task force. It was like, okay, eventually that is going to show up and come in, but how and where? Well, now we know. It's because of Muse. They know, I think Muse potentially has been caught on camera. So they know that Muse wears that mask, the one with kind of the blood going down from the eye holes. And he's basically saying, like, we have a criminal who's taking advantage of the fact that we can have people wearing masks running around. Well, I'm creating a task force of those shady, the ones who are willing to push the line police officers. You can have overtime. You have some level of immunity, basically, and now get stuff done. And I think that's a really nice thing, because looking ahead here, just looking ahead to what we're down to 7, 8, and 9, so 3 episodes left, I think we're going to be looking at, first off, Muse. We're going to get more of that storyline. I think that's going to be the big thing. It's going to be a race probably between Matt and Frank, so Daredevil and Punisher, to see if they can get to Muse and stop him before the police get there. Or can the police get there first? And I think Matt and Frank will be the ones to get there first. And that is going to be, in some ways, great for Fisk. Because Fisk is going to be like, well, they got in the way of our investigation. They caused problems. My anti-vigilante task force was there to take down Muse. But if we're going to have heroes getting in the way of good police officers doing their work, then we can't have them on the streets at all. And that, to me, that's going to be the setup for season 2. That's going to be our story for season 2, and I think that's going to be phenomenal. But that's it that I have for this week's 2 episodes. Let me know your thoughts on these 2 episodes down in the comment section below. Did you prefer one over the other? Honestly, I put them very neck and neck for me. I do think that the episode 6 with the Muse stuff and kind of the progression of that plot, Hector Ayala's niece, I will get her name down prior to the podcast, fingers crossed. I thought that was a good, very strong work, and I love to see Fisk breaking down. I also love to see the swordsman again in this, but for that bottle episode, it was just such a fun episode, and it's one of those things that feels like television, but not in kind of a cheap way or anything like that. It feels nice and big and cool. Sorry. But let me know your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this content, click that thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell to know when new videos comes out, and this upcoming video is going to be a bit bonkers after this one, whenever I can get it out, whenever Marvel's done with their stream. But appreciate everybody checking out the videos. If you want to hear the full conversation on this, we will have that on the podcast, so you can find the podcast here on YouTube, click under the channel. As I said, subscribe if you haven't already. We really do appreciate it. And then click on the podcast tab. Or you can search for 10 Minute Marvel wherever you get your friendly neighborhood podcast from. But with that, see you next time.